I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on the Spotlight Network, we're delving into an epic tale of revenge, redemption, and resilience with an amazing author, a Hollywood producer. His name is Guy Quigley, and he has penned a powerful trilogy, the Thundering Smoke trilogy. Set against the violent backdrop of the 1920s Irish Liberation War, The Price of Freedom follows Tom Sutton, a broken revolutionary who flees to Africa after a personal tragedy, only to find himself facing new battles in the heart of Rhodesia. This gripping saga spans continents, blending political upheaval, personal loss, and the enduring human spirit in a story as vast and powerful as Africa itself. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him in the spotlight today, and we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his amazing book. The links are below this interview. And be sure to download the Spotlight Network TV app, streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Guy, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
It's my pleasure, Logan. Truly my pleasure.
It's a pleasure to have you on the show. Let's talk a little bit about the inspiration to write this trilogy. And did your personal experiences help shape the story?
Well, in actual fact, I wrote the story some 40 years ago in Africa, when I lived in Africa. So in those days, there was much this thing as TV, no internet, no cell phones, nothing, had a, what they call it, gramophone back then. But anyway, I decided to write the whole story by hand. And finally, when I got it all done and arrived back in my base of London, where I did live originally, nobody would look at it. And the rationale was it was 800 pages long. What is this, War and Peace 2? I said, well, pretty, not quite. But so I decided that knowing my ability in the movie game, that most screenplays are 3 acts, as you know. Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. And if you follow that sequence, you usually got a decent film. So I said, why don't I take this book and think of it as a movie in my head and make Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3? It's like most movies, you don't catch your audience in Act 1, they're never going to switch the movie on, period, or walk away. So my attitude was that if I write a decent trilogy and make the first book interesting and exciting enough, it will capture the audience in the second 2 chapters. Now, if that's not being the case, then I will start on that. But the point is, it was a best gamble, because once you push a reader beyond a couple of 100 pages, they get bogged in. I kind of know what it's like myself. So basically, that was my rationale to do this. I'm understanding historically, being Irish to start with, the Irish history, I was pretty conversant with that, and I knew exactly how to make it accurate as possible, although fictional, make sure that the characters that you did speak about did exist in their time, and they performed certain duties. So if you flip your character into the middle of all these people, you can work a great story. And I made sure that the first chapter of it, which is called The Price of Freedom, actually does end up in Africa. I don't wait to get to Africa on the second book. I get it into Africa. Hopefully, capture the imagination of the reader. And obviously, my years in Africa, 14 years, were my wife and I owned a cattle ranch, 40,000 acre cattle ranch, and that's what we did. So I learned the customs. I understood the people real well. I understood the geography of the place, and the whole thing could fall into place to be quite easy. And it was a very interesting time to do something like that. And it's more interesting now that I've got the thing out for sale somewhere, or well, on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, wherever else. I just heard today that the book 2 audiobook is now available. Book 1 audiobook has always been available. And being part of the movie game, I didn't want a narrator to just narrate the whole thing in a drone voice. I wanted an actor, but an actor who could actually play the parts that he's saying as he's speaking them. So a guy that could jump from, say, an Irish guy to a British nature, to an Afrikaner, to a girl even, you know what I mean? And I managed to get a guy to do that, and he feels like that.
Yeah. Wonderful.
In,
Wonderful.
interesting concept. Very good.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. Some of the audiobooks today are produced so well, like you said, with actors who do the voices and so forth. It really is compelling and really draws the listener in. Have you thought about tapping your resources in Hollywood and turning this into a series, perhaps?
That would be a dream. But I'm being, tell you, Logan, honest to God, being involved in the business, the movie business. I mean, last year I did a movie called Imperatus, which was which is really the last significant movie that the iconic actor Tom Sizemore ever made.
Yeah.
Tom died a month after the movie was completed. So then I went on to do another one last year, like a mafioso type movie, and and we did we did a horror movie too. So I understand that budget people that are just pop really make a great really great series, like you just said.
Yeah.
But it would require somebody with a lot of backing to do it, because this is almost like Legends of the Fall. You know what I mean? It's fake, talk, fake. And it's an Africa. You get a lot of scenes on a stage and B screens and stuff. But you do have to really capture the essence of the country. So a lot of your actors would have to be in Africa. I love to talk to somebody. I have an interest in doing that.
We'd have to get the Irish Film Board involved, I think. I think that would be a good investment for them. And I think it would bring out a unique chapter in Irish history as well, right?
Yeah, I certainly would. I certainly would, because when I work my way, as a matter of fact, when supposedly, so I just got to this chapter, I said, I'm almost in tears myself. I'm like not supposed to be in tears, because I'm supposed to produce the product here.
Yeah.
But he said, it gets to the point where book 2 has got you only captivated, and book 3 is the ultimate conclusion. And of course, being called a thundering smoke, you know what that is. That's the movie of Punya, the Victoria Falls. So but all circles around. Very interesting.
Yeah. Your characters are impressive as well. Of course, Tom Sutton is a deeply complex character. Tell us about how you developed his emotional journey from revolutionary to broken man.
I based him on several characters. I like what I like to do, actually, frankly, is I like to picture an actor in my head that would play this ever with a part. So I put them in my mind and say, okay, he's never going to do this, but it doesn't really matter. My head is telling me that's what he should be like. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had a couple of great characters. One was obviously Liam Neeson, personally, a great actor. I've met Liam, and I kind of know he's a brilliant actor, and his kind of character could take this. I'm not talking about the those movies Taken or stuff like that. I'm talking about the Banshee, or the one he's just finished in Ireland, the Land of Milk and Honey, whatever. Those kind of characters, he could carry it all the way to the bitter end and the yellow. But
Exactly.
of course, you'd have to be Irish. That's the sad part.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. I mean, a lot of people can do an accent. A lot of people cannot do an accent. But that would be my character. And then if I move on, and if you talk about who you like, the characters themselves, I like the recent character, host of all of them, right? And he was based in my mind on an old actor called Jim Quigley that I remember watching him work years and years ago, when he worked way back in movies like The Quiet Man and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He was a kind of a comedic guy, but a serious guy. But he also was kind of a demanding little character. So that they were my main two players that I wanted to expose if I possibly could, from the very start to the very end.
Yeah.
Other characters come and go.
Yeah. I think Liam Neeson could use a break from all the Taken type movies. And I think he would love to do, in my opinion, a very serious piece of work like this. So, Liam, if you're listening, we've got a trilogy.
Liam, if they're listening.
Exactly. Exactly. Heidi is another character in the book, plays a crucial role in Tom's journey. Tell us about how you brought her character to life in the writing.
Yeah. Well, when I looked at Heidi, I was looking at, I had to find a girl who was Afrikaans. I had to find somebody who was a South African, really, and they're hard to find, because they're, I mean, you can't put in people like Charlie Theron or something like that. He's a South African, is a woman, you know what I mean? You're looking for a child. So I take a character, I bring them back down to what they would be and make them as poignant as they possibly could be. But the difficult part of writing about a character like that was the transformation that he transformed from an 8-year-old child to a young woman. And a guy. So, but, so with- but the point of it is, I give it to my wife. You've done a great job bringing her all the way up, being a woman with no woman in her life. And then all of a sudden, there is a woman in her life. And that's where the conflict starts happening.
Yeah. Well, wonderful characters, wonderful storylines as well. 14 years in Africa is a significant chunk of your life. Um, yeah. What was it like living in Africa during that time?
Oh, it was, well, firstly, our lifestyle was great. Let me backtrack a moment. I met my wife in Mallorca, back in 68 or 69. I proposed to her in 1 week. And 6 months later, I flew out to Africa and married her. 54 years ago. Think about that. It actually all worked, There's God, you know what I mean? So when I spent my time in Africa, it was exciting because I had to learn to speak the local dialect. A lot of them didn't speak English back then. We set up our own little empires in the sense that although we had a cattle ranch, I figured out that mine came from a business perspective. I mean, like, a lot of people who live in Africa, like colonials, my wife is one. So they're a little bit of a silver spoon there. You know what I mean? Their life goes on for them. I'm coming in as an outside hustler, for a better term. And I wanted to find other things that could be done that nobody else is doing. So we set up a cattle buying deal. So first we had a cattle ranch. Then I imported 3 plane loads of 7 cow cattle from Bavaria, from Germany, by plane, brought them back into Green with our stock. But then I realized that the immigrants were not being paid according to the value of what they owned. When I'm bringing back value, their money was on the hooks. Whoa. And when they wanted something, they sold something. So we went out and bought all the cattle, and I did the bidding sale, whatever else. And we ended up bringing those cattle back, stored them on our farm, and then we trade loaded them with an agreement with the Anglo-American Corporation from Saga in Belgium, so they could be stall fed for meat there. And it was a great time because I started doing that. But then, unfortunately, life deals you certain things. We're up there, we're on my TV one day. Yeah. Now, one of my Africans, they're all loyal to what's best. Most of these guys grew up on the farm. You know what I mean? Yeah. So one of them to me, and I'll use the phraseology and they'll explain what it says. It says to me, Guana, and Guana Lonian. It means Guana, look at their feet. I'm looking down at these guys, and there's 4 people in the buy that were buying the cattle wearing rusty army boots. But oh my God, these guys are terrorists. They're fighting this Zimbabwean war in Rhodesia right now. And they used to come back across with them. They were plundering it the whole valley and BT Valley. And I looked at them, they want the money in the car. I know what they're there for. So I said to my guys, I said, we had a young white kid from India working for us too. Said, Malcolm, you tell these people to get on the back of the truck. They did this truck bed or whatever it is. It's just we can't blend. He said, we just realized the whole pallet cattle we hadn't paid for. They're running around the place here. So, well, tell them you got to do this because there's problems coming our way. I got them all to sit down in the back of the bed of the truck. I got in the truck and I took off. Finally, it was a 10-mile drive to the African bush. And right behind us comes this massive pickup with 4 guys with AK-47s in the air, scaring the hell out of you, you know what I mean? I remember skidding onto the road. There was a gravel road, and I thought, please God, the tires don't go. That's all I need. Anything but they came after me, and they traveled with us for another 20 miles until we reached a blacktop. Oh, in the United States, it's summer time. But then they turned around and went back because they were hosts for the Zambian government, and they couldn't go off killing people who lived in Zambia, where they were guests. But they were good enough to scare the hell out of us and want the money. Yeah. That happened twice. And I said to my wife, I said, Randy, that's it, I'm done. We're out of here. We got to go. It's time to go. Gonna go.
Yeah. And happen the third time, you might not survive it. Yeah. Yeah. I got a feeling your experiences in Africa nowadays would have been the grist for a reality series. I think you would have been turning cameras on each other and capturing all of it in documentary style.
Oh my God, Logan! If it was today, with the technology that's available, yeah. Back then, my wife got families. They're all on Facebook. They've all got cell phones now. I never heard of such stuff in our time.
Oh yeah. This is more powerful than the cameras you worked with in the early days, no doubt.
Oh my God, you can make a whole movie with those things. Maybe a boy speed,
It's amazing.
We are back in London. We went to like England. Wait, we need to go to America. Not that easy to go to America. If you picked up and stopped trying the keys and that's the kid and go to Mexico. You figured it out. I did figure it out. And it took me a good 4 or 5 or 6 years, like getting my bird all over the place. And I had to discover it. And I produced a product for the American marketplace, which is still in every store in the country. And it's called Coldies. And it was my invention, my business, and 20 years of running that company of Wall Street pick wheels. They said, aren't you retired? Well, I can never retire. Never retire. They're going to keep working because they don't keep working or not. Look, it's quick. I might as well just keep on going, make another movie, write another book, write another screenplay. It's lots of things.
Yeah. Doing nothing is overrated. Doing what we do is a blessing. You always feel very, very happy to make a living in the arts. And the next time I have a cold and I'm popping coldies, I'm going to raise a pint of Guinness to you and toast, okay?
My man, both. Here.
Absolutely. We've been talking about the Thundering Smoke trilogy today, set against the violent backdrop of the 1920s Irish Liberation War. The book we've specifically focused on was called The Price of Freedom. It follows Tom Sutton, a broken revolutionary who flees to Africa after a personal tragedy, only to find himself facing new battles in the heart of Rhodesia. It's a gripping saga that spans continents, blending political upheaval, personal loss, and the enduring human spirit in a story that is as vast and powerful as Africa itself. Guy, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Logan, it's been my pleasure.
Pleasure's been nice meeting you as well. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time until next time on Spotlight.